morning. Hello. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. My name is M. Munir, and my graduation is Master of Commerce in Human Resource Development, and I am a lecturer in Commerce Department at Yiascm. Hope you all are good, right? Hello. Okay. Today I am going to talk about the auditing, the subject matter about the objectives of audit, like what are all the fraud the organizations are done in the organization, that is by the employees, and how the auditor he will find and he will make him to stop those errors and frauds. Okay, not only by the employees, we are going to learn at what stage the higher authority, that is director or the management responsible person, they are going to do the same thing, that is robbery, some frauds and all. Now, when you hear the word audit, what comes in your mind? The word audit, it is a inspection, financial inspection of an organization account by independent audit. Now, who is the auditor? Auditor is an independent person, not a dependent person. He is outside the organization. For what purpose he is coming? He is coming for the inspection of a financial transaction of the organization accounts, to check the account of the organization, how it is, whether it is gives a true or fair view about the statement. For that purpose, he is coming to audit the organization account. Now, to be an auditor, what is the main requirement? The auditor, he must be hold a qualification of chartered accountant. Firstly, he is an independent person, and to be an auditor, the qualification of an auditor is to hold he must be a chartered accountant. And whom will be appointed by the auditor? The auditor, he is appointed by the manager or the proprietor of the company. For what purpose? To audit the organization's account. Is it clear? Is it clear? Hello?
Yes, sir, it is clear.
Okay. Now, what's the definition we have in audit? The definition by the Montgomery, what he defines auditing, it is a systematic examination of the books and records of a business. Same, like what I said in a term, audit means it is a systematic examination, not as if he enters the organization, just check the turn the page or turn the accounts. No, it is in a systematic procedure. There is a steps to check an organization's account. Okay, it is a systematic examination of the books and records of a business. For what purpose? In order to verify and report upon facts regarding its financial operations and result thereof. Clear? For what purpose he is going to check the records? To verify and report. To check and report the facts regarding its financial operation. Now, what stage, in what result the financial gives? Clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, if auditor is appointed to check the financial statement, then what is the use of keeping an accountant in a concerned company? Even the accountant is doing the same work. Am I right? Is it? Even the accountant is also doing the same work. He is also entering the transaction in a record book. Is it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we'll learn some difference between the accountancy and the auditing. Now, who is accountancy? Accountancy refers to a preparation of final account, and it will help the management and the proprietor. What he does, the accountancy, he will prepare a final account. Okay, whether it's wrong or right, he will never bother about it. He will just prepare a final account, and those final account, it will help the management. But the auditing refers to the examination of these accounting records. What does the auditor does? He will examine the final account which has been prepared by the accountant. Clear? Next, the accountant, he need not to be an chartered accountant. To be an accountant, he is not needed a CA, that is chartered accountant. But to be an auditor, he must be qualified chartered accountant. Is the second difference between the accountancy and the auditor. Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Next, an accountant is an employee of the concern and works directly under management. What it says? Accountant is a dependent person of a concern and he works under the management, directly under the management. But whereas the auditor is an independent person appointed by the whom he is appointed? Can anyone say? The auditor is appointed by the no. He is appointed by the proprietor, that is by the manager. Okay. Dear students, let me tell you one thing. Whenever we attend a seminar as a listener, okay, just hold on book and a pen so that when we get some important messages, just jot down that point. So it will help in your future or current situation also. Please, wherever you go, as a listener for the seminar, might be any topics, somewhat it will help to our life. Okay. Apart from that, coming back to the topic, account is a permanent employee of a company. Accountant, he is an permanent employee of the company, whereas auditor, he is not a permanent. He will be keep on changing to year. Okay, if we appoint one auditor, in the next year we will appoint some other auditor. We can't keep him as a depending to our company. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
And last difference is an accountant, he need not to have a thorough knowledge about the auditing and techniques of auditing. Okay, but the auditor, he must be thorough about accountancy so that he can examine the transaction. He can check the transaction of what the accountant have been prepared. Now clear difference between accountancy and the auditing. Next we will move to the objectives of auditing. There are three objectives, that is main or primary objective, secondary objective and specific objectives. Now what the main or primary objective says, the main or primary objective of audit, it is to check the it is to examine the book of accounts and records with the view to find out whether the balance sheet at a given date of properly drawn so as to exhibit a true and fair view of the state of affairs. That is the primary object what it is, that is to examine the book of accounts and records. For what purpose? To say that whether the company gives a profit or loss, so that they can disclose the year ending financial transaction. Here one more thing, the auditor, he will be called to audit at the end of the financial year, so that it is a closing date of a financial year. Is it clear, the primary objective? Hello?
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Next will be the secondary objective. In the secondary objective, that is detection and prevention of errors and frauds. Okay, what happens? I had said in the before, that is there are some frauds and errors will be done by the employees and also by the higher authorities, that is by the management. We'll discuss where the management are going to commit the frauds. In secondary objective, first we will discuss about the detection and prevention of errors. Okay. So what is detection and prevention of errors? What does the mean error? The word error means, can anyone tell the word error? It is simple. As general, can you tell anyone what is error? Generally. Okay. Error refers to an unintentional misstatement in the records of books of account. That is, it is done unintentionally. Errors are done, it will be committed unintentionally, not purposely. They are going to commit by mistakenly. Okay. They are the mistakes of negligence or misjudgment without any intention to defraud. They have been mistaken, that is, they have been neglected that error, not to defraud, not to make any fraud. Okay, not to cheat. It has been done by a mistake, not by purposely. Is it clear? The meaning of error? Hello? Now, when it will the errors arise in accounts due to the negligence or carelessness of the bookkeepers, that is by the accountant, because of his negligence, because of his carelessness while working the accounts, the errors will arise. Why? Now, what are the types of errors? Can you see the types of errors? First one is clerical error, and the second, error of principle, and the error of duplication. Now, what does the clerical error do? How it is committed? The clerical error, it is committed while recording a transaction in the books of organization, in the books of original entry, such as in a purchase book or in a sales book. For example, clerical error, it is done by the office work. Who holds the clerical error? Clerical work by the office. For example, if you take me, I am a office worker, that is I am a clerk. Instead of entering in a purchase book, I made an error that I entered in a sales book. Okay, clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Or the other example is like while posting the entries to the respective account in ledger, or while totaling or while balancing of accounts. In the first one, in the clerical error, there are two types of other error, that is omission and a commission, that is error of omission and error of commission. Now what is error of omission? Any idea? When accounting records a debit or credit to the correct account but to the wrong customer. For example, hello. Now what is error of omission? Error of omission means when a transaction is completely omitted to be recorded in the books of original entry, that is in the books of purchase book or in the sales book. What is completely omitted? Here in the auditing subject, the word omit, it means what? Excluding. We are not including such items. Okay, we exclude that items and we will record it. Is it clear? Errors of omission, how it will occur? By excluding the,
Your presentation is not getting it.
which one?
Your presentation, it's in auditing. First one, it's.
First one.
No, it's not moving presentation.
Now,
So it's in first.
clerical error. Hello? Can you hear my voice?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now next, what we have in a clerical error, what I said, there are two errors. That is error of omission and a error of commission. Now what is error of commission? When an accountant, he record a debit or credit to the correct account but to the wrong customer. That is in a subsidiary account, there is a track. We can track in a detail about account receivable and the account payable person. So here what happens, here the money has received from customer is credited properly. Whichever the money we received from a customer, we have been credited properly. But to whom it have been credited? To the wrong person. Now clear? Presentation. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's clear.
Now next is the errors of principle. Now what is errors of principle? accounting entries recorded in the incorrect account. In the sense, now while preparing a ledger account, we have to prepare many accounts. Is it profit and loss account, cash account, balance sheets, trial balance? Is it? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Here what happens in the error of principle? That the errors which arises when transactions are not recorded in the books of accounting, the fundamental and the accepted principle. That is, instead of posting in a profit and loss account, we have posted in a cash or bank account. There we will get an error. Clear? What is error of principle?
Yes, sir.
We are not posting according to the law, according to the accounting law. We have been seen in your examination also. If we have some doubts, we will post it in some more accounts. But while getting a paper, it will be wrong. Is it?
Yes, sir.
The entries and the value will be correct, but the account will be wrong. That's it. Okay. We will write the same entry and the same value, but not to the particular account. Clear? Next, error of duplication. What does the word duplicate means? Duplication. That's the same. Like how we say the photocopy.
Fake one.
Sorry?
Fake one.
Ah,
Fake.
fake.
Identity.
Now what does it mean? Error of duplication. It arises when the same transactions recorded twice in the books of original entry and posted twice in the ledger. We have been posting twice in the original entry also and in the ledger account. There we will get an error. Clear? For example, a credit sale of rupees 5,000 to R is entered twice in the sales book and also posted twice in the ledger. Clear? So these are the errors done by whom? Done by the hello. These are the errors done by the accountant. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now to identify these errors, who will be appointed? It is appointed by the whom? It is appointed by the management of auditor. Okay. Ordinarily, it is not the duty of the auditor to detect or trace and locate the errors. What they say in a detection and prevention of here they say it is not the duty of the auditor to find and to locate the errors, but locate the errors which might have or might not be created a difference in the trial balance, but in many cases auditor is called but in many cases the auditor is called upon to discover the differences in the books of account when the management have failed to discover the same. Why? After the completion of accountant's work, the management will check. They will go through it. But still, if they didn't find any mistakes or any findings, they will appoint the auditor to check and to get a report by the auditor. After checking, the auditor's work is to make a report on the financial transaction and submit them. But how the errors can be detected, how the errors can be identified, that is by checking the first, what will the auditor do? He will check the total of the trial balance to see that no mistakes has taken place in totaling the trial balance. First he will check the trial balance so that while totaling is there any mistake has been taken or not. Next he will go to the check whether the total of all ledger accounts have been made correctly. Next he will check the ledger account, like whether all the total of the ledger accounts have been made. Next he will check whether all the ledger account showing debit or credit balance have been included in the trial balance or the correct side, like whether they have posted on the correct side, that is whether the credit or debit is to be posted, whether they have been posted in the same side. Next he will check whether the balance of each account in the ledger has been ascertained correctly, that is they have been obtained correctly. And lastly he will check the entries in the books of original entry have been correctly posted to the respective ledger accounts. The entries which have been made in the original book, that has been posted in the ledger account or not. These are the findings the auditor will find. Okay. Next we will move to the detection and prevention of frauds. What does the word fraud means? Any idea? Fraud. Hello? Can anyone say the meaning of fraud in general? We use while we speak. Don't make as a fraud. Don't do like a fraud. What it is?
Criminal.
Yes, exactly. Fraud means false representation or false entry made intentionally or without belief in its truth with the view to defraud somebody or something. That is, here they are going to commit a mistake, that is intentionally. They want to commit intentionally with the purpose they are going to commit a mistake, not by unintentional. In the previous concept we studied, it is about the errors. In the sense they have done unintentionally, not by intentionally. But here we are going to study all the things they have been done intentionally, purposely they want to commit a mistake.
So the slide is not moving.
Which slide?
Presentation slides here.
It's in the same. I not at change. It's just 3 points: misappropriation of cash, goods, and the manipulation of accounts. Is it? Now, do you understood the meaning of fraud? Now, what are the types of frauds? That is misappropriation of cash, misappropriation of goods, and a fraudulent manipulation of account. Now, what is the first fraud? That is misappropriation of goods, misappropriation of cash. Misappropriation means wrongful conversion or fraudulent appropriation of cash belonging to others. Misappropriation. Okay, what it is? It is a someone's cash. It will be used by someone. In simple, if I say it is a illegal use of somebody's cash, someone's cash. Clear? But how
Yes, sir.
how they will use, we will discuss. By in what way they are going to use that cash. Okay. That is, they will use by recording the cash sale proceeds at a figure lower than the actual cash sales proceeds and pocketing the balancing amount. What happens here? How they will take the cash? Here they record the cash sale proceeds at a lower level. If, for example, if I say the cash sales has been done about 18 lakhs cash sales happen, but what does the accountant do? He intentionally, purposely, he will record that it has been taken 15,000 ka cash sale has been done, and the rest of the 3 lakhs he will use it. He will pocketing in his own pocket. Clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
And next, that is misappropriating the money received on the discounting of bills. Once we purchase some goods in a bulk, okay, we will get in a discount. If we purchase a bulk in a goods in a bulk, we will get a discount. Is it?
Yes, sir.
So after
Yes, sir.
discounting the rest of the balance amount, they also make a pocketing. But in a bill, it will be like 25 lakhs. After discounting, they will get some 23 something, 23 lakh or 70,000. It will be, and rest of the 1,30,000 they will put it in their pocket. That is the misappropriation of cashes. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Next, we'll move to the misappropriation of goods. Misappropriation of goods means wrongful conversion or a fraudulent application by those who handle the goods. It is like the same. Instead of cash, here they are going to misappropriate with what? With what? Tell me. With the, what is the second one? Misappropriation of? Hello? It is a misappropriation of goods. That is, in this, the person responsible for this offense are planned to cause companies' assets to make a personal profit. How they make a profit? By using a company's asset. By using company's asset, they will make a personal profit. How they will make a personal profit? That is by recording sales of a large quantity than what actually supplied and misappropriating the balance quantity. Here what happens? If the customer they order some goods from our company, we will while entering the transaction we will add it more. For example, if they have purchased some like goods in bulk, we will add more than what they have been ordered, what they have been mentioned. We will supply more to them, and rest of the balancing quantity we will discuss about it later, that we will take from them privately. Clear? Hello?
Yes, sir.
And also the goods, it can be misappropriated by actual theft. They also can robbery the goods from their own company, from the company which they are working. From the company they can rob it, they can steal the goods and they can sell it outside. Clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
And the third one, it is like goods, it can be misappropriated by the supplying more goods than what stated in the invoice. What is invoice? What is stated in invoice, and privately receiving the different quantity from the buyers. What is invoice? What is invoice? It is one of the stamped document that records a transaction between buyers and the sellers. So what they do in this document? They will supply more goods to the buyers than what they have been ordered. Okay, and rest of the goods they will make a difference in later in a personal. Is it clear? Is it clear? Misappropriation of goods. Hello? Next, the third one is a fraudulent manipulation of account. The two things, that is a misappropriation of cash and goods, it was done by the employees of the companies. But fraudulent manipulation of accounts, it is done by the whom? I said that higher authorities, that is by the manager or the director of the company. How they will make a fraud? Manipulation of account, it means falsification of accounts without any misappropriation of cash or goods. Manipulation of accounts is usually committed by a top management officials such as a director or by the managers. What they do? They don't misuse the goods or cash. What they do instead of goods and cash? They will change the account. They will make some changes in accounts. That, in the sense that alteration of accounts. How they can make a changes?
In bill, I think, sir.
Yes, because it is done by them only. By whom it is possible? Is it clear about the fraudulent manipulation of account? And next, now how to detect this? How to detect? Before that, we'll study the different ways of manipulation of account. In which and all way they can change the account. That is, by not providing any depreciation or providing less depreciation or providing more depreciation. They can change the account by, if there is an asset, by the year end, it will get depreciation. Am I right? Yes. But what the manager
sir.
they do, they will not charge any depreciation, or they won't charge any depreciation, or they will charge less depreciation, or they will charge more depreciation. This is the changes they can do in an account. Or even they can overvalue or undervalue the assets and liabilities. What is overvaluation of assets? That is the value for which we have purchased, we will selling to the more. And also by crediting profit and loss account with the incomes which will be received next year. The incomes which we are going to receive in the next year, what these managers will do, they will credit a profit and loss included in the profit and loss account. And by not recording some items of expenses to show more profit. If there is a much expense, they will hide such expenses. Why? Because to show that their company is in a more profit. Next, detection of frauds. Now, what is a primary object we have been discussed? What is the primary objective? The primary objective of audit, it is to detect a fraud. In fact, originally, audit was conducted in order to detect a fraud when a suspicion arose in the connection. Here, it will be very difficult to, because these frauds have been done by the management. Here, we can't take any action on them, because without any proof, they will not keep any proof that they have done this mistake. So the auditor, he can't take any action among them. So how he will detect them? How he will detect such fraud? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
So we'll discuss about the detection of, first what we are taught, detection of goods. How we can find the detection of goods? Detection of misappropriation of goods. He should check in a detail all the purchase recorded in the cash book, purchase book with the concerned invoice and bills. What the auditor must do to find such fraud, he must check which and all book in a detail all the purchase recorded in a cash book and in a purchase book. which has been in the purchase recorded, he should check the cash book and the purchase book, and also with the concerned invoice, that is with the stamped document and also the bill. Next, he should take a physical verification of a stock. Now, to find out the fraud, he must check the physical verification of the stock lying on store and also in the warehouse, that is in a godown, so that he can come to know what is the fraud they have been committed. Next, detection of fraudulent manipulation of account. How the auditor will check the fraud, how he will come to find the manipulation of account done by the higher authority. The auditor, he should check all the books, original entry and a ledger with the original documents. First, what he has to do, he should check all the original entries and all the original documents. Next, the auditor, he should be capable to search and to inquire to get the required information and the explanation from the management. Secondly, he should have such capacity. Okay, he shouldn't be scared. He should have the such capacity to inquire, to search and to inquire the required information and also to get the required explanation from the management. That is from the director or from the manager. By this, he can find the frauds done by the employees and also by the director or by the manager. Now, how to stop this fraud? How we can stop the fraud? That's how we can stop by committing this fraud. That is, he can suggest the management to separate the cash department and the account department. So what? He can give a suggestion to the management to make some distance, to keep a distance in a two departments, that is a cash department and a accounting department. For what purpose? So that the staff couldn't be mingled, that is, they can't collide with each other. And he should suggest that the management should undertake surprise checking of cash balance periodically. He suggests the management, that is for the manager or the director, to visit the cash account surprisely, so that we can check how many balance is there, that is cash in hand, how many cash is there in our hand, so that from the previous year, from the next flowing cash, we can come to know. Next, what he says, he should suggest that, the auditor will suggest that, as far as possible, the management should make all the payment by account payee check. By how they must pay the payment? By the check in the name of payee, for whom it is belong, so that the misappropriation of cash, it will be stopped. Is it okay? And last, we want to discuss is specific object. What is specific object? Here, it does not mean mainly focused on a financial audit. It may be other areas such as a management audit, cost audit, performance audit, etc. Now, there will be a specific audit operation for each type of audit. For example, in case of cost audit, the aim is to check the cost records on the concern in order to make a report on the proper ascertainment of cost. Okay, is it clear, students?
Yes, sir.
Okay, by this I would like to conclude my talk by saying auditing it is a critical examination of records and the books of accounts of the business by an independent qualified person. Okay,
Okay, sir.
thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Students, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Are we all ready for the next session?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So let's begin. I am going to speak a rather sensitive topic, maybe for the some of you. So trigger warning is applied. So today we'll be talking something as the voices in your head. I'm pretty sure during a stressful situation or during any point in life, you might have heard these certain voices in your head. And some of the time they might be good, pushing you to do great things and giving you that boost of confidence. But some of the time they might be demotivating, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So today we will be talking about the voices in your head, and I will be talking to you about a case study and also telling you certain tips how to ensure that these voices in your head stay positive and help you thrive in your life. All right. So before we actually dive into the topic, let us now imagine a moment. Let us take for a moment and imagine a situation about two men, that is Rahul as well as Rajiv, living in the same neighborhood, having the same education background, and also sharing a similar occupation. All right. So both are now complaining of a severe or acute chest pain, and they rush to the nearest emergency. Whereas one of them is provided with a procedure for your heart attack, whereas the other one is sent home. So, what might explain the difference in the experience of these two nearly identical men? Can any one of you tell it out loud?
Ma'am, the appearance.
Sorry,
The appearance, ma'am.
the appearance. I don't think hospitals distinguish chest pain based on appearance, right? Is it?
No, sorry.
What else? Both of them are complaining of a severe chest pain and both of them rush to the hospital, but only one is provided with medical attention while the other one is immediately sent home.
Ma'am, the one who is treated with chest pain might have contacts in the hospitals.
Contact with the hospitals. Okay. Anybody else? Any guesses? All right. Let me tell you. The difference in the quality of medical care. So the two differences that has been seen right now in case of Rajiv as well as Rahul is that Rajiv suffers from something called as mental illness. We know at a time of anxiety or when you're heavily stressed or if you're going through a phase of depression, we might experience certain symptoms apart from profusely sweating, that is excessively sweating, or having a headache or not being able to work properly. One of the common symptoms of acute anxiety or acute depression is that you start showing chest pains. So in case of Rahul, he definitely had a heart attack or he might had symptoms related to it. That's why he was provided with the immediate health care. Whereas in case of Rajiv, since his physical body did not suffer with any of the symptoms, but rather it was his mind which was being affected, he was sent back home. So you see that the difference in the quality of the medical care received with people with mental illness is one of the main reason why they live a shorter life. So this even is affected even in the most resourced countries in the world, where the life expectancy gap is as much as 20 years. That meaning to say that mental illness affects people with who are as young as 20 years old. That is not quite a lot of years compared to you, right? They're all just 17 to 16, 18 years, that range. So mental illness does not again affect only the countries which are not resource, that is your poor countries, but also countries which are well equipped, that they are financially stable, or also they are having proper lifestyle. Irrespective of the food, irrespective of the background, mental illness seem to be affecting everybody in every cross of life. So that being said, since you're all familiarized with the topic right now, I am Yoshita from the Department of Forensic Science. Today, I will be talking about creating an awareness regarding mental health. So, moving ahead, mental illness, as we saw earlier, who had indirect symptoms which was Rajiv, who had indirect symptoms in terms of chest pain, have, of course, there are a lot of indirect symptoms, but mental illness can kill people in also direct ways as well. And one of the most commonly talked about direct way that affects mental illness is suicide. Of course, rather a sensitive topic, but suicide is currently the top leading cause of death in young people in all the countries in the world. As I have already told you, it does not only affect countries that are well equipped financially as well as resourcefully, but it also affects countries who are of poorly affected as well. So, if you see mental illness affecting countries like Africa or even India, that is rather developing, you see this illness is also affecting countries like China or America, who are doing great when it comes to their resources as well as when it comes to their financial status. So, irrespective of the country's background, it affects everybody no matter where you are or no matter what path in life you're up to. So, as of now, we understood the basic, we've introduced ourselves to the topic. Right now, I'll introduce a case to you. Currently, I'm not sure how many of you are aware of this, but the ones who are aware, I'm talking to you today about a case which was rather in the hotline in 2018 by something as a title called as Burari Deaths. This is an actual live case study that happened in the year of 2018. And currently it is popular in the Netflix series as The House of Secrets. So for the ones who have actually seen it, you are aware of what the documentary talks about. But for the ones who haven't seen it, I will summarize to you what exactly this case is about and what happened so far in this case as well. All right. So the Burari Deaths talks. Sorry, there was a minute disturbance. All right. As I was discussing, the Burari Deaths basically talks about 11 family members who kill themselves in their house courtyard, that is in the hall of their house, in the year of 2018. The family's name was Bhatia family, and this took place in the northern region of Delhi, which was called as Burari. And that's how this case became popular. So in 2018, if you would have turned on NDTV or any other popular news channel, this case was being played day in and day out. So when it came to this particular case, the cause of death or the manner in which the 11 people in the family, that is 3 generations. If you see the photo, you can see the grandmother, her kids as well as her grandchildren's. So 3 generations of the family, all of them decided to kill themselves. And this death was again in a manner where they were hanging themselves in the hall of the house, where they had a mesh-like thing at the roof, and they all had gotten a shawl and they decided to kill themselves. So this is something, again, it's a very common phenomenon. If you probably saw the news any other day, you might see the farmers of our country, when they take out huge debt from the landowners, they do have a tendency when, they cannot repay it. Sometimes all the entire family actually land up killing themselves. So we are, as Indians, we are okay with, we have heard news in which we've heard people killing themselves or committing suicide by hanging themselves. And sometimes it is an entire family as well. But this particular case was rather odd. Apart from the fact that 3 generations of a family decided to hang themselves, their hanging was again quite different. They were blindfolded. That means there was a cloth on their eyes. Their mouths were taped, and also their bodies as well. The bodies had their hands as well as their feet tied up, and some of their bodies had ears being stuffed with cotton as well. So this made it seem quite different, or it gave a big question mark to the country of India as to what exactly happened in the house. Was it actually suicide, or was it somebody who committed murder? So when you look into the investigation, irrespective of what the question were, the police initially registered the case under murder, but after further inquiries or after further digging up in the house, they found out 11 diaries. So this 11 diaries basically had everything that spoke about whatever happened in the family for about 11 years. So you see that this wasn't a decision they took immediately, or it wasn't that they woke up one day morning and they decided to kind of perform this act, but it was rather well planned, or rather I could say that something was happening within the house which us or which nobody around their house as a society was unaware of. So when the police went through the diary, they came across this particular incident where the youngest son. So if I scroll back to the screen, if you could see my pointer, could you see this particular man with a mustache as well as a specs, which I'm pointing at?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. All right. So this here is the youngest son in the family by the name called Lalit. So over the diaries, when the police read through the diaries, they were aware that this particular diary, at least most of it, was written by Lalit. So what particular led, or what was the cause of this entire thing to kind of happen? So in the year of 2006, the eldest member of the family, that you could say Mr. Bhopal Singh, who was father of Lalit, passed away due to natural causes. But Bhopal Singh was the head of the family. So when it comes to joint families, they all have a very specific role to play. Everybody have one particular role that they are supposed to play within the household, and everybody else kind of follows. So you see, when the entire pillar of the house kind of falls apart, or when the entire pillar itself passed away, the house sort of was at disarray. They did not sit very well. They were all kind of missing their grandfather. So somewhere after a year after the grandfather's death, that was Bhopal Singh, Lalit claims that he was seeing grandfather, or he was seeing his father in the dreams. And eventually he started saying that grandfather would come to him, or Bhopal Singh's spirit would possess him, and he was trying to give out messages to the entire family. So now this might seem like the story entirely went for a twist. From a murder, it went out to something very scary, ghostly, and haunting. But despite of that, according to Lalit, Bhopal Singh was communicating the family to perform certain rituals. And these rituals were performed by the family very dedicatedly. They would every day pray from 9 to 9:30 as a family, as one unity. And they were very dedicated to one another. And they soon saw that all the message conveyed by Bhopal Singh through Lalit actually had an effect. All the rituals, all the prayers were sort of showing by the form that the family was also prospering in their business. They landed up opening 3 shops. They landed up getting the eldest daughter, who was Neetu. She was also getting married. And so sort of good things were happening. So the entire family now was believed that, these rituals are actually working. And our grandfather, who has passed away and is in heaven, is showing us the right track. And they were actually listening to Lalit. But the key point was, they never had discussed the grandfather's spirit coming into Lalit's body to anybody outside the family. So they were keeping it in a very secretive manner, and they were actually doing a great job financially as well as a family. They were a unit, if you can call about. So, according to the diary which was led through, the Gopal Singh actually instructed the entire family to perform an act called as a Bat Tapasya, or something called the banyan tree worship, where again, as the hanging took place. They were supposed to tie ropes to the mesh of their house and they were supposed to hang. And this particular ritual would be a process in which the family would be benefited. So you see now that they never intended to kill themselves. It was sort of an accident. They were all planning on performing a ritual which would bring them back alive. But that did not happen. So you see that Lalit somehow, despite the fact that he was affected by all the other various mental illnesses in the past, there was a switch that triggered in him. That was his father's death, which led him to kind of slip into a state which we clinically call as psychosis. So in psychosis, it's rather when what happens when your mental illness is not treated right and you start interpreting your reality to completely something else. So either the fact that you're not hallucinating. So do not confuse me when I say psychosis as hallucination. Hallucination is a completely different phenomena. Whereas in case of psychosis, all your life or all the normal daily routine of the life takes place quite normally, but you start interpreting these situations quite differently. So the entire loss of Bhopal Singh to the family, but to Lalit had a huge impact. And this was definitely manifested by in different ways. He stopped talking at home. He stopped being funny, the person he always was. But none of them kind of actually picked on to this particular symptoms, and none of them actually ensured or made sure that Lalit would seek the appropriate health that appropriate medical attention that he always required. So when you talk about the Burari case right now, you ask why the crime actually took place. Or the main question that is, why did this entirely happen? 3 generations of the family, 11 people. Could you probably imagine the amount they would have on the society, probably the significance they would bring about? Provided the fact that all of them were educated. Some of them were working in IT company as well. So it was a very well-educated, happy family, financially stable family, and a huge loss to the country as well. So when you look into the why of this particular crime took place, you might question in the presence of God, or you might think it is basically the topic of superstition, or you might think that it is some sort of cult practice that was happening within the family. But somewhere, somehow, we all forget to notice that the why in this particular crime is the fact that there was nobody actually talking about mental health topic over here, despite the fact that Lalit had stopped talking to almost everybody in the family, and he was maintaining silent, and he stopped engaging in normal activities as a person. None of them actually engaged in a conversation with Lalit that would help him to cope up with his father's loss. So you see that through the entire series, or you see that through the entire news channel when we look into the Burari deaths back in 2018. There was a mass resistance when it came to talking about mental health and how it is important for us to kind of, have conversations quite open about this. I know that, all of us might have come across our social media platform where, we are creating awareness. We might see a status or we might see a post about mental health and how we are supposed to, spread awareness. And we might actually repost the same story, or we might actually repost the same thing. But how many of us actually have taken time to talk to a person who seemed to be behaving oddly? You might see a lot of your classmates, or some of them, or any of your family members or friends who might get angry quickly, or who might suddenly started behaving oddly, maybe not interacting right, or might have shut themselves in the room. So how many of us have actually taken the guts to go and talk to these people and actually genuinely tried finding out why these people are so disturbed? What is the real cause behind it? And tried advising them or tried helping them by listening to them, or let's say by at least by telling them that they need to talk to somebody who is a health professional. Not a lot of us. We are all aware about mental health. We are all aware that we need to make sure that we are mentally sound, not only physically. Only green vegetables as well as healthy diet make sure that we are physically healthy. But in order for our for our mental health to thrive, we're supposed to make sure that we are providing our mental or our mind with positive thoughts, with a lot of reinforcement, a lot of, calming thoughts. But how much of us actually take an effort to make sure that we are keeping ourselves mentally sound and happy? Not a lot. Irrespective of the fact that we are mentally aware, these conversations of mental health or mental illness, maybe depression, maybe suicide, or maybe stress or anxiety, these conversations are still stigmatized. They are still something that we are scared to talk about. Like, what would that other person say, and what is our response going to be? It's still today something that we haven't mastered ourselves, I could say, in talking about. So, to kind of distinguish between terms, I would like to introduce a term which I had always introduced, that is mental health as well as mental illness. Definitionally, when we speak about what is mental health or what is mental illness and how are these two different from one another. So, when we talk about mental health, it is a state of well being in which the individual realizes his or her own ability. So, you're mentally, you're mindfully happy in life. So, you can actually recognize what your potentiality is, what your powers as well as what your failures are. And also, you can cope up because you're mindfully happy and you're able to kind of realize your potential. Right now, you can cope up with the normal stresses in life. So, probably if an exam is coming ahead, you are still able to cope up with the stress because you are actually mindfully happy. And indirectly, because you can cope up so well, you can provide a fruitful result, or you can work productively, ensuring that you can contribute to your own community back. So you see that one particular concept that kind of plays very important, that your mind is sound. And if your mind is sound, it is reflected not only physically, but also it kind of extends to the community, because you can work so well with this healthy mind of yours. So that healthy state in which your mind is at is nothing but the mental health. Now moving on to something called as mental illness. So, if we look at mental illness, it is a health condition. So, when I say it's a health condition, it is just like any other disease that affects you or any other disorder that kind of affects you. So, if you're having a heart attack, you say that it's a health condition, right? If you're having something called as eczema, you say that it's a health condition. So, mental illness again is a health condition, but here it manifests itself or it exhibits itself by changes in the emotion or changes in the way you think or the way you behave. And sometimes, if these things are not checked rightly, it kind of exhibits itself in a combination of all the three things. So, it's always important to ensure that when you're feeling off, when your behavior is a little off, you do make sure that you're providing your mental health with the right kind of positive thoughts, the right energy, so that you indirectly or you in turn can benefit from it. So far, class, I'm hoping that it's clear enough, the concepts.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, all right. So now, since the case study is done, moving on to a little bit more technical aspects of what mental health problem is all about. So, as I already mentioned to you, mental health affects irrespective of age, personality, also of background. So there are instances where I know my cousins who are abroad. Again, this is a quite open topic abroad. I know my cousins abroad actually send their kids to therapy despite them not facing any problem. They always seem it's quite better when it comes to walks of life to handle these topics by a professional. So my cousins who are around in the age of fifth standard to sixth standard, they regularly talk to a therapist, and they do make sure that the college or the school stresses do not really get them. It sounds quite progressive, but this is something that is of a healthy habit that we are ensuring. It's a healthy habit for our mind. So again, when it comes to mental health problems, there is a wide range of experiences, and it can affect the way people think, feel, or behave. So in normal times, when we talk about probably when you have an exam coming ahead, most of us may feel nervous. Most of us are stressed as to how are we going to perform well in this. Or let's think that some of you are right now, because of the COVID era, you're all at home, you're all writing online, you're attending class online. So you're used to not seeing people that often. Now, when you come to the offline class and we start giving you assignments, we start giving you conducting class tests or surprise tests, it might affect you, or it might kind of stress you out to put you in a place where you might start thinking negatively. Instead of being, you know what, I will cope up with this and I will do better, some people may slip into a place where they start thinking negative. They might be like, oh no, I can't do it. My classmates are handling it so well. Why on earth am I not supposed to cope up with this? And you might start feeling odd. You might start feeling like you might start actually behaving differently. You might stop mingling with your friends, making new friends, or you might stop coming to college itself because you're so embarrassed that you're not understanding why such a silly thing is actually bothering you. But all of these are things which could be resolved quite easily. So, because of these experiences, which actually affect both from your personal life or as much as your work life, for you, working life is nothing but your college life. All of this tends to add on pressure to you, and your mind can only take a little bit of it. For example, tomorrow you're playing outside and you fall down, you trip, and you get a scar. You will be like, oh, it's a small scar. Maybe it's not that important for me. I don't need to kind of, handle this. But at the same time, imagine every hour you're tripping and falling, and you're not doing anything. You're not applying band-aid, you're not taking care of it. You realize that all the scars that have been accumulated starts filling with pus or starts filling with that white fluid, which is actually infection. So you know now that you need to heal it. You need to put a little bit of Savlon or a Dettol, and you need to clean your wound. Similarly, it comes with your mind as well. When there is a little bit of a scar, it's absolutely necessary for us to ensure that we're treating these small wounds much more effectively. So, how can I help myself or somebody who are suffering from these sort of problems? The first thing to do is self care. For example, right now, you are caught with a fever. What do you do first? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So tell me, when you are feeling feverish, you're having a back pain, body ache, cold, what do you do first? You don't do anything. Is it? Yes. What do you do when you get a fever? You say to your parents. Okay. So what do your parents do? Sorry?
Take medicine.
You take medicines, right? The first step is always care at home, whatever is around. Your mom might make you a kashaya, or she might make you haldi doodh, that's milk with haldi, or sometimes you might actually take in dolo, correct, a paracetamol to make sure that the fever is cut out. So self care is that initial step that you do before you actually seek professional help. Self care always involves a wide range of things. It depends from person to person. So it can be like you're listening to a good music, it can be probably walking in the park, it can be cooking, it can be gardening, or it can be, as we popularly see right now, it can be a full extent of facial regime, maybe a mask on with good music and a coffee in your hand. So self-care can be the most simplest thing you do that you enjoy the most, to ensure that your mind is free from all thoughts, that you're not thinking at that moment at all. Probably if you're playing football or something of an activity which you love the most, you rarely tend to think about something negative. Maybe it's a song that you really like listening to. You always sing along with it, right? So the self-care is the most simplest of things that you are much more interested in doing. which will help you kind of deviate from the normal stresses of life. So now that you've taken Dolo and your fever tomorrow, the next day morning when you wake up, your fever does not cut down, but your fever has worsened. What do you do then?
Consult a doctor.
Consult a doctor. Of course, the next thing to do is you go to a doctor, a professional. So, in case of mental illness, the treatment options are broadly divided into two types, one being a talking therapy and the other being medicines, psychiatric medicines for that matter. So, talking therapy is basically you talk to a counselor. You might have seen it quite often in movies where you have a counselor sitting on a couch and you on the other end. And then the counselor asks you, why are you here? Tell me what is the matter. How may I help you? So that's how you talk to a professional. And this person will jot down your thoughts, why you're saying them so, and will analyze as to why you're interpreting these things in life in a particular way that you are. So your therapist is going to give you a map of why your brains or how your brains exactly are wired and how it's exactly working. And the second one is psychiatric medications. So psychiatric medications is quite in case of advanced situations, especially when people cannot sleep at night because they are absolutely stressed or because they are depressed and they really can't, cope up normally. In those cases, medicines are provided. These can be antidepressants, these can be anxiety medications, which make sure that physically you're calm, you're not sweating, or your heart is not pacing fast enough. So these medications sort of provide you relief immediately. But for a long-term goal of mental sound or mental health, it is always advised for you to talk to somebody who can understand, that is a therapist, or you can also go for something called as counseling. Counseling is again, when therapy works in a regular way, counseling is something that you do once in a while. It's irregular kind of a scheme. So irrespective, you choose your treatment option. So a combination of self-care as well as treatment option will lead you to a pathway of recovery. And sometimes the key to recovery is not an immediate option. It's not sleep at night and wake up and you're feeling great. When it comes to mental health, it requires a lot of patience because it's not an overnight remedy. It requires you to actually work upon your well-being. You're supposed to constantly ensure that you are feeding your brains or you're feeding your mind with positive thoughts and positive outcomes, making sure that you're brave to tackle anything that life throws at you. So for some people, they require to actually visit a lot of therapists, before they find the right treatment plan, and only then it will work out. So the key dose when it comes to recovery is always patience. You need to be patient with yourself and give yourself a chance as to how you can better yourself. So how can you look after your well-being? How do you look after and make sure that the voices in your head are always positive? Again, if not always, are somewhat positive enough and they are balanced with the negatives that is talking in your head. The first thing you can do is talk about the way you feel. Most often, when you feel something, for example, when you feel angry, you don't really go to a person and say, you're making me angry, right? The first thing you do is you project these emotions out quite raw. It can be you saying some hateful words that you really do not mean. At a moment of anger, you don't really know how to control your emotions and you might lose it in the split second, right? So it's always necessary that you talk about how you feel. If you're angry, you always tell that you're angry. Usually anger is expressed when you're hurt deep inside, right? So the actual feeling or the most basic feeling of anger is nothing but hurt. So you actually figure out what you're exactly feeling and you express or you talk about it in the right way. The second thing is identify your triggers. We always have those sensitive things that nobody should poke around. And if they do talk about that, there's a fuse in you that goes off and you start, you just go off tone. So always know what are your weak points. So when some person is talking something very sensitive to you, you always know to back off. You need to tell that person, these are sensitive topics, I think you should not talk about it in front of me. Or you could always politely say, I'm sorry, this is making me uncomfortable, I think I want to leave this particular conversation. So that's always advised. So you always know your triggers, your weak points for that matter. Do something you enjoy. Also, take time to relax. So when I say do something to enjoy, it doesn't always have to be a travel trip to Manali or Kulu. It can be as simple as pouring yourself a cup of tea or a cup of coffee and actually soaking in the freshness of this particular thing, looking outside, enjoying the view, probably seeing traffic for that matter. But it's always advised to see nature, because nature is always at its calm and always at its best. So make sure that you don't have to go to the extreme to enjoy life. You can always enjoy life on a daily basis with the most simplest thing possible. Make a plan to stay well, probably something like a wellness action plan. Ensure that out of your entire day, you're taking a couple of minutes out for your mind to rest. That is something called, this is what the meditation always goals for, to make sure that you are not thinking anything at all. Your mind is free from all thoughts and it's completely blank. So always make sure that you're making a plan to mentally stay, in a very happy, sound way. You're making sure your mind is in a healthy spot. Do something in a day that you like doing, listening to music, watching something you like, playing games, dancing, singing a song, whatever makes you happy. But make sure you're mentally happy in that particular time. Think about what helps you if you start feeling overwhelmed. So, one of the common practices therapists do is that they ask you to write a journal about how you're feeling or about your day to day activities. In this journal, they ask you to write the feelings that you're feeling, not exactly what happened in the day. So, the whole point of this is that your mind sometimes has thousand and one thoughts running. It's almost like a bullet train going super fast in your head, and you are not able to kind of calm these thoughts down. But if you actually thought about writing whatever you're thinking, you see that you need to slow down the pace at which you're thinking so that you can write it down. So this helps you to kind of, slower your mind process, and also ensures that you're writing exactly what you feel. And this is going to be quite raw. It's exactly what you see. You don't have to share this diary with anybody. You can even burn it down at the end of the day. But what you have to do is, it's a quite a good practice to always write down what you're thinking, especially when you're feeling overwhelmed. Some people, instead of writing, they prefer to listening to music. Some people actually enjoy running so that they can feel physically exhausted and their minds are not wandering off to places. But it's always better to pick up an activity which will help you calm your mind. And at the last end of the thing, you should always remember, be kind to yourself. Do not always be critical about yourself. Make sure that you understand that we are all humans. We are all born a day and we are all going to die someday. And it's absolutely all right to ensure that you're having fun at the moment where you are, and you're not you're not criticizing yourself too much, and you're not pushing yourself too much. So be kind to yourself. We are all humans at the end of the day. For the ones, in case you do feel like you need to talk, despite the fact that we know therapy is quite expensive, there are a lot of websites, there are a lot of helplines which provide treatment or which provide therapy for free. I have mentioned down a couple of the numbers, and also a website. The last website, which is the Live, Love, Laugh Foundation. This particular website has all the numbers of all the toll-free calls you can make and you can have access to for free help. So that being said, these are again a couple of references for you to go through, so that in case you need a stepwise treatment, you can obviously have access to. So that being said, I am going to conclude my session. In case any of you all have a question, you can go ahead and ask me. I shall share you a Google Form feedback link. You can give me your opinions about today's session. Well, thank you so much. Have a good day.
Go on.
A very good afternoon, students. May I have your attention, please? Students, am I audible to you all?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. A very good afternoon to the upcoming bright future of Anapoya deemed to be University. I, Akshita Suhan, from the Department of Commerce and Management, would take a privilege to welcome all the dear students for this Deeksharam program. The topic for the today's session would be on the entrepreneurs. So the gist goes this way. We would be discussing what do you mean by the entrepreneur, the types of the entrepreneur, and the few glimpses of the topmost young entrepreneurs in India. Dear students, have you heard of the term called as entrepreneurs?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Very good. Good. Could you tell me what do you mean by it?
Ma'am, it's a person who's willing to do a business and aims of getting profit in it.
Okay. So the main focus of every business is profit maximization, as we all know. But what makes a difference between an entrepreneur as well as a businessman?
Ma'am, an entrepreneur, he is willing to take the risk.
An entrepreneur is willing to take the risk. Why not the businessman? He doesn't take any risk.
Ma'am, it's not like that, ma'am. Businessmen,
Mm-hmm.
ma'am, entrepreneurs are they're like self-made. They want to do their own thing.
Okay, good.
Businessmen are not like that.
Okay, good. Could you please tell me your name, Mohammed?
Mustafa, ma'am.
Mustafa. Okay, very good. Thank you for your answer. I really appreciate Mr. Mohammed Mustafa.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome, my dear. A businessman is a person who starts his business with an existing ideas. An entrepreneur is an individual who creates his new business with his innovations, with his ideas, with a new thing, innovative products as well as services. He is a person who discovers totally something new. That's the reason he's called as an entrepreneur. Students, are you able to understand the difference between the businessman as well as the entrepreneur?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I want the response from all the students. Students, you're there.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. A great response from the students. Thank you. Yes, thank you so much for the response. So, if someone is going to ask you, what is an entrepreneur? Would you like to be an entrepreneur, students? That's the question. Would you like to become an entrepreneur?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. In what ways? You have any kind of idea, a thought of doing something new, a new thing that has to be introduced in the market? You want something change because you're not happy with the system, or you want to change the entire system. Would you like to do any kind of innovations?
Yes, ma'am.
If yes, what would it be?
Ma'am, one of my greatest thinking is the rapes, the rapes, the amount of rapes that happen. I want to change that.
Okay, you are talking about the rules and regulations.
Yes.
Okay, the rules, the regulations, the system. Good, great idea, a great thought. I really appreciate for the thought that you have, Mohammed Mustafa. See, students, when we're talking about the entrepreneur, we're just talking about an individual who makes a difference in our economy. So here, entrepreneur plays a very key, important role in our economy because using his skills and initiative, which is very necessary to anticipate the needs and to bring something, a new product which is being required in the market. All of we as a customer, we don't know what are the products or what are the services we need in our day-to-day life. So it is an entrepreneur who identifies the market, that he or she is in need of such products and that has to be introduced. An entrepreneur is the one who creates something new. And entrepreneurship is kind of an activity which is going to set up our business. Any business, when you start, you have to bear certain risks. Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. A person who bears any kind of risk in any kind of business is called as a businessman. But what makes an entrepreneur different from the businessman is what? Students, just now I explained. What makes an entrepreneur different from the businessman?
A businessman has an existing idea, and entrepreneurs like they come up with new ideas.
They are the discoverers of a new system or a new product or any kind of service. Both the businessmen as well as the entrepreneur, they enjoy the risk in the market because they take the risk as a challenge. You have any kind of difficulties, you just don't leave, and you just don't leave your business. You just take it as a challenge and you make sure that you are going to win the race at the end of the day. So here is the meaning of the entrepreneur. I would like to read it out. An entrepreneur is an economic agent who unites all the means of production. He is an agent. What does this mean now? Agent in the sense? Economic agent in the sense? Students, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. I'm expecting an answer from the students.
Ma'am, economic agent is like a person or a company who like influences in producing, buying, or selling.
Okay, very good. Economic agents like your consumers, producers, any kind of market and economy at large. There are different types of entrepreneurs. Have you heard about the different types of entrepreneurs? No? Yes? Who's this?
Ratan Tata, ma'am.
Oh, very good, Mustafa. Really appreciate. Other students are not responding. Students, who's this? Who's this living legend?
Ratan Tata.
Okay, very good. Kyle, could you please turn off your mic? Now, who is an innovative entrepreneur? I hope my voice is audible to you all students.
Hi, ma'am.
Yes. Who is an innovative entrepreneur? Ratan Tata is an innovative entrepreneur. Could you please tell me how and why? With his innovative, what is innovation in the sense? A person who discovers totally a new thing, a product or any kind of services in the market. He has invented so many new products, production methods, and he has reorganized the company structure. What he has, could you please tell me about his students? I request all the students to mute yourself. Could you please mute yourself, Muhammad Adil? Thank you so much. An innovative entrepreneur is the one who invents a new idea, a new product, a new production method, discovers some potential markets, and he is going to reorganize the company's structure. Now, when I'm talking about Ratan Tata, have you heard about the name of a car, Nano? Nano
Yes.
cars?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Ratan Tata
Yes,
is said
ma'am.
to be an innovative entrepreneur who launched the Tata Nano at a considerable lower rate. Have you seen there are so many nano cars? Yes? No?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So here, the innovative entrepreneurs have an unusual foresight to recognize the demand for the products and services in the market. They are always ready to take a risk because they have a kind of an excitement or a challenges in taking a risk each and every places they have the risk is associated into. So Ratan Tata is one of the living legend who have done lots of innovation. He's a businessman, he's an entrepreneur, he's a philanthropist. So we need to respect and we have to salute these kinds of legendary. I hope you can understand what I'm talking about innovative entrepreneurs. Have you heard about?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Now, the next type of entrepreneur is imitative entrepreneurs. What does this imitative entrepreneurs or imitating entrepreneurs do? Imitating, copying. What does this mean? Imitating, copying the innovations which has been already done by the
Others.
the innovative entrepreneurs. Correct. For example, it can be an any kind of jewelry piece. You have a masterpiece, freshly done by a designer. Someone sees it and he's going to copy the same thing in his country. So he becomes an innovative entrepreneur in his own country. Following, not following?
Following.
Yes, okay. Imitative entrepreneurs are the one who have this immediate copying of this new inventions which is being done by the innovative entrepreneurs. They are they do not make any kind of inventions by themselves. They just imitate the technologies, the process, or the methods which was pioneer start by someone else. So the name called as imitative entrepreneur is being given to such entrepreneurs because just they are. Now you can tell me these why are they called as an imitative entrepreneurs and still they are called as entrepreneurs. These entrepreneurs are found in a place where there is lack of resources or industrial base due to which there is no kind of innovations, any kind of technologies that takes place in their particular countries. These entrepreneurs are mostly play a very important role under the underdeveloped region because the country is not much developed, so such countries these kinds of entrepreneurs emerge. Students, are you following?
Yes, ma'am.
Why are these entrepreneurs combine their inventions which has been already established because in order to bring a kind of a boom in their industries, there is lack of technologies, they just copy it and then they bring it back to their countries, especially in the underdeveloped countries. The next type is in Fabian entrepreneurs. What do you mean by a Fabian entrepreneur? Fabian, have you heard about the name, the term called as Fabian? Students? Fabian entrepreneurs? They are very skeptical about the changes to be made in the organization. They don't like any changes to be made. They prefer the old rules, the regulations, the old process which was going on. But what happens? Can an entrepreneur survive without any kind of changes, without any kind of innovations? Can any person survive in this competitive world?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So what they have to do? You have to make certain changes so that you can earn profit, so that you can fit into this competitive world. You need to make changes. You need to have kind of an innovative thinking and technology based analysis. Yes? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
A Fabian entrepreneur do not initiate any invention, but they follow only when the innovative entrepreneurs have a success rate after producing that product. After the imitative entrepreneurs do in their own country, they just follow them because with the fear that they might lose or they might have lots of risk involved in taking up such business. So the Fabian entrepreneurs who do not initiate any invention but they follow after they are satisfied with their success rate, they wait for quite a long time before the innovations has taken place. They take a long time to test whether the innovations what is being introduced in the market is having a success rate or not. Only then they introduce, otherwise they would not take up such kind of innovative products with the fear of losing or with the fear of having a huge loss in the business. Next is a drone entrepreneurs. Who are the drone entrepreneurs? Drone entrepreneurs, have you heard of the term drone, something which is new? Drone entrepreneurs? No? Why they are called as drone entrepreneurs? Because they are very conservative and they do not want any changes in the organization. They prefer handling the old and the traditional way of doing their business. Even though they are happy with their present mode of business and they do not want to change, even though if they are suffering a huge kind of losses, they prefer following the same old traditional method of doing their business. So these entrepreneurs are called as a drone entrepreneurs. So here we have discussed 4 types of entrepreneurs. Which are those? Which are those? Could you tell me the 4 types of entrepreneurs which we have discussed right now?
Ma'am, innovative, imitating, Fabian, and drone and entrepreneurs.
Okay, very good, Mohammed Mustafa. Could anyone answer? Anyone else? Could you please answer? Anyone else? The types of the entrepreneurs which was just discussed.
Ma'am, innovation, imitating, and Fabian, and then drone.
Okay, thank you. Now identify this youngest entrepreneur in India. He is the youngest entrepreneur in India. Could you please tell me who is it?
Ma'am, is it Tilak Mehta, somebody?
You're asking me or you're answering me?
Ma'am, it's Tilak Mehta mostly.
It is right. It's absolutely right. He is Tilak Mehta, is one of the youngest entrepreneurs in India. He's the founder of what?
Ma'am, it's an app-based courier service in Mumbai, I guess.
Exactly. A paper and the parcel courier service app, which was launched by Tilak Mehta, a young entrepreneur. He's just 16 years old. So he says there is no age to start your business for your new invention. Even you could start something new, like the young entrepreneur Tilak Mehta. Would you like to do an app? What kind of app is this, students? Paper and parcel. What is this? An app-based courier service which is located in
Mumbai, ma'am.
Yes, in collaboration with. Have you heard of famous dabbawalas in Mumbai?
Yes.
Yes. Only one? Only Muhammad Mustaf? What about others? Students? Don't know? You know? You don't know?
No, ma'am.
Okay, no issues. It's an app-based courier service in Mumbai known as Papers and Parcels, which is an digital courier company, provides a one-day parcel service, which is collaborating with the Mumbai Dabbawalas. His motive is building this courier service so that the people can deliver the goods and any goods for more than thousands of people at a lower cost within the regions of Mumbai in a day. So that was his main motive. Along with the collaborations of Dabbawala, he founded a app-based courier service in Mumbai. Could you please identify the next person? Could you please identify the next person? Could you please identify the next person? Who is he? Yes, correct. Ramjit M. Very good. He is Ritesh Agrawal. Who is he?
Ma'am, is he the founder of Oyo Hotels or something?
Yes, he is, Dia. He is. Indeed, he is. So very good. He is the youngest entrepreneur. He's the founder and the co-CEO of Oyo Rooms. Very good. Very excellent. What he does, he's a school dropout. He established Oyo Rooms. It became a national sensation. Where it became a national sensation, he started his activity with rooms in Goregaon, which is now more than 65 rooms across 170 urban areas. So Ritesh is one of the youngest entrepreneurs of our India. Okay, identify the next one. I think this one everyone would tell me.
Ranveer Arora.
Who? Ranveer? I think this one students would not miss.
Ranveer Arora.
Correct? Saki. Very good. What is he? What is he up to? Is a co-founder of? He's a YouTuber. No idea? Yes, Monkey, very good. Abdul Shahin, very good. Keep it up. He's a co-founder of Monkey. He's from Mumbai, Maharashtra. He's a young entrepreneur. He's a YouTuber, internet personality, a fitness trainer, and a social media influencer. And one more, he established something. Could you please tell me? The internet stage named. He is known for his popular current internet stage. What's the name? Don't know? Beer Biceps. He's most recognized among the people for his YouTube inspirational and motivational videos. I thought this one you would never miss. You would have given me lots of answers about Ranveer. Other than that, he's a co-founder of Monkey then, which offers what? Which offers yoga, fashion, cooking, grooming, and among other activities. No idea, students? No idea about him. So what I want to conclude is that students, being a job seeker is important, but being a job provider is an essential key for our economy. Thank you, students, for your patience, for listening to my session. I hope you have understood the concept of entrepreneur. I wish all the students to become a young entrepreneurs like these who have. Thank you. Thank you, my dear Murali. Thank you. If you have any doubts, you can ask me.
Madam, what is the difference between Fabian entrepreneur and drone entrepreneur?
What's the difference between a Fabian entrepreneur as well as the drone entrepreneur? A Fabian entrepreneur is a one who takes a risk after reaching a stage where the innovative entrepreneurs as well as the innovative entrepreneurs reach to a stage of success, which means only when he is clear that there is purely success in this particular business, the Fabian entrepreneurs accepts these kinds of business. Whereas drone entrepreneur, even though he is incurring loss, he would not take a risk. He would still continue to follow his old method of following the business.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes. Thank you, dear students. Have a nice day. It was really
Thank you,
an
ma'am.
interesting session. Thank you all, students.
Thank you,
Next
ma'am.
session will be at 2 o'clock. Thank you all, dear students. Have a
Ma'am,
nice
the
day.
next class is at 2 o'clock, huh?
Yes, my dear.
Ma'am, the feedback link.
Yes, I would send you the feedback link. Thank you. Students, the link would be shared in the chat box, students. Quite a minute. Students, the link is being shared. You can submit your feedback form in the link. Thank you all. Have a nice day.
Good afternoon, students. I hope my voice is audible to everyone.
Yes, sir.
Yes. First of all, congratulations on enrolling for the courses under NFI deemed to be university. And as a part of the Deeksharam program, every day there will be sessions on from various set of people based on their expertise, based on their area of interest, and some presentation or some topic will be in the diverse field. As I was requested to present on a particular topic, I thought let me touch on uh, something related to environment regarding its pollution, because as a human being we live in an environment where the nature gives us everything, and as a part of the environment we has to look after the environment or look after the nature. As we know that we live in an era of industrial growth or technology where everything is fast changing at a rapid rate. So I thought let me discuss, as I observed, let me discuss something related to environment. Okay, and today I'll be presenting on the pollution and how best we can control it, because as we know the pollution is increasing at a rapid rate, and as a human being we are also responsible for it because we are part of the environment, and if we don't take responsibility, most probably that after 50 years or 100 years it will be very difficult. Okay, so let's see what we can do as a human being to protect the environment, or how we can. Before that, let us go through what are different types of pollution and what we can contribute as a part of the nature, as a part of the environment. We, as a human being, we have to contribute something towards the betterment of it. Okay. So we know, basically we will discuss, I'll present in briefly about regarding various types of pollution, starting with, or I'll also discuss about various types of pollution. So basically environmental pollution is defined as it may be a physical, chemical, or some kind of biological characteristics or of any component of the environment. Maybe it is related to air, water, soil, and which cause harmful effect on various forms of life or property. The pollution can be, it can be, I can say pollution can be it's of physical nature, or it is of chemical, or it is even biological, and these characteristics of the nature being altered because of human interaction. Okay, because of the humans interaction, and the term pollutant, I can say it can be a substance, or it can be a harmful effect or uneasiness to the organisms, and particular substance, that particular substance may be called as the pollutant. Okay, pollution may be because of the pollutant, and the pollutant can be, it may be a chemical, or it may be an oxide, or it may be some gaseous, or it can be non-decomposable waste such as plastic, metal, such things. And the term pollution can be defined as it's an influence on of any substance causing harmful effect as well as uneasiness to the organisms. When we say about the nature, when we say about the environment, it is not only human beings. The nature consists of diverse organisms, including animal species, bird species, nature, plant species, microbial organisms. So many are there. But we, in the 21st century, as we are moving, as we are growing, we are just spoiling our environment. And the consequences as a human being, everyone has to face the consequences. It's not only human being. Apart from the human being, all other organisms, even though those organisms' contribution is very less, they also have to face the consequences. Okay, that we have to keep in mind. And coming back to the types of pollution, it can be water pollution, it can be air pollution, or can be pollution of the soil, or including the noise pollution. Okay, we'll discuss different types of pollutions. And you can see just how it's just a picture taken, and the picture say more than words. I don't have to explain anything here. You can see here, as I can make out that water is flowing and it is fully contaminated. You can see on top you have the various forms, plastic, all type of garbage. Maybe the water is, if you see this kind of drainage, and most probably that it contains some harmful alkalis, metals, all are dissolved, oxides. Okay, everything is dissolved, and you can see the color, but it has changed into black. This one, who is responsible for this kind of? As a human being, we are only responsible. Maybe it may be an industrial waste, or maybe someone is throwing regularly on a regularly basis through the drainage system. They flow garbage dump, especially this plastic, thermocol, which are highly decomposable. And finally, this drainage will flow and it goes to the river, and via river it finally ends up in the ocean. And if you see the scenario, it's very critical. See, because of which, see, obviously it's not a fresh water. Previously it may be a fresh water. Now it's not a fresh water. It is completely, what I can say is, it's completely polluted. I can see all kind of chemicals, minerals, including plastic. The next question, so as a human being, I came across, it's just I was surprised. Who is responsible for this kind of pollution? We are responsible. Correct, right? We are responsible. Where it leads, we are doing something. If we are not doing, or we are not taking any measures or precautions to avoid such scenarios, where it will take us. It will be very difficult in future days to come. Okay, just see. Let's see what is water pollution and what may be the main cause. Again, water pollution can be defined as an alteration in the physical, chemical, as well as biological characteristics of water. Most probably it is through human activities, making it unsustainable for designated use. As a human being, we use water daily on a regular basis. Even we'll consume water because 70%, 80% of our body is made up of water. It's made up of water. We are polluting the water, which is the source of life, at a faster pace. So pollution, water pollution is very important. We need to avoid it. This problem we need to avoid at any cost. Because the pollutant is going to alter the characteristics of the water. Okay, and we know that only limited percentage, maybe 5 to 6% of fresh water is available on our surface. And that 5%, maybe let's consider it as a 5%, and it is used for variety of purpose, maybe drinking, domestic use, agriculture and irrigation, industries. And once it is contaminated, it's highly impossible to use. And if you see this image only, this figure only, or image only, so water is highly contaminated here. And I don't know whether it's possible to recycle this kind of water, because it is contaminated at a rate that recycling is possible. Okay, recycling is possible. But what is the cost? Whether after recycling it is going to, whether we can restore back the physical or chemical or biological characteristics of water, most probably we may not. Okay, most probably that we may not. Okay, so we have this resource. Maybe I can say it is definitely, it's not unlimited, it may be limited, but we have to use it responsibly, isn't it? We have to use it responsibly. Otherwise, one day we may run out of fresh water. In that case, what will next? Okay, I don't know whether we may run out of the fresh water sometimes down the line. I don't know that. But as a human being, I used to think it's better to responsibly use the fresh water. Okay, whatever may be the purpose. Okay. There may be some sources of water pollution. It may be due to various reasons. It may be, I'm not making it as a classification, because these are just some of the reasons for water being polluted. It may be a waste, industrial waste. It can be due to inorganic pollutants, that certain inorganic chemicals. It can be due to organic pollutants from organic chemicals. The pollution of water may be due to agriculture waste. There may be a possibility of marine pollution. And it may be also due to thermal pollution. We'll discuss these things in detail. Okay. Just you can see, this is a photo taken somewhere and you can see the photo says no need of explanation for these photos. But one question comes to my mind is always just who is taking responsibility of picking this garbage? Who will take the responsibility? Is it the responsibility of the government, particular government, or is it the responsibility as a citizen of this country? Is it our responsibility? It needs to be a collective decision. And you can see it is what this, let's say if it is a drainage system, it is completely polluted. It has everything, it's a mixture of all kind of chemicals, including plastics, metals, alkalis, even some poisonous metals such as arsenic, cyanide. It's a combination of everything. Who is responsible for these things? As a human being, we are responsible. We'll throw the garbage everywhere. We should not do it. It's our nature. Because it's easy to pollute. But the reverse side is very difficult. To recover a fresh water, let's say to recover the recycled water from this is very difficult. It has to go through so many of the processes. It's easy to pollute. We can throw whatever we have, the garbage, into the flowing water. It will pollute, it will contaminate the water. But the reverse is very difficult. So finally, where it leads? Finally, it leads to the ocean via a river. So many organisms, fish, so many living creatures are there in the ocean. You just think about it, how this pollution is going to affect them. Okay, just an example I'm giving. And second type may be industrial waste. These waste include some chemical as well as metallurgical, especially metals. It may be from food processing industries, textile, paper industries. This involves both organic as well as inorganic pollutants, which are very highly toxic in nature. Okay? Just you can see an industrial waste that is being released into a river or into a ocean without recycling. This is the reality. This is a live picture I have taken. This is the reality. The industry is releasing industrial waste directly onto the ocean or directly onto the river without ever recycling it. These industrial wastes contain metals, alkalis, acids, which are very harmful, which are very toxic in nature. It is going to kill. You can assume it is how. What about the living organisms when they will come in contact with this polluted water? Maybe it may be a fish, it may be a kind of a frog or whatever. Who is responsible for these things? We are responsible. We have to take some initiative. Otherwise, it is not going to work out. It's very, very simple. We are responsible. We have to look after. If this is a problem, as a human being, we need to find a solution. Let's see some inorganic pollutants. They are very, very toxic in nature. They may be particles of different metals, maybe chlorides, sulfates, oxides of iron, cadmium, acids, alkalis. So, some simple example I wanted to give is that if the fresh water, if the chloride is present in the fresh water, if a normal human adult drinks that particular water for 10 years, he'll get disease. What type of disease is that? His bones will lose the strength. For example, let's say when a human being is living in an environment, over a period of 10 years, he is going to drink a water which contains chlorides. In that case, no, he will be diagnosed with a disease, and the disease is that his bones are very weak. Just you see, if this is the case of human being, what about to the variety of living species in the environment? Who will take care of them? These are the inorganic pollutants. Let's see about the organic pollutants. Organic pollutants can be oils, fats, phenols, and organic acids, including grease and several other organic compounds. On the right hand side, you can see it's a satellite image taken where the ocean top surface of the ocean's water is polluted with some kind of oil that is spilled from maybe the tanker. You can see it's actually the satellite image. You can see there is an oily layer onto the right hand side image. You can see on top you have an oily layer. So once it is polluted, see now the pollution is kind of massive. We cannot recycle the entire water. Is it possible? It's highly impossible. If the pollution is at a massive scale, recycling is highly impossible. Is it possible to recycle? No. One problem will lead to another problem. It's highly impossible. Let's see what about the agriculture waste. Again, with respect to agriculture, we use fertilizers. Maybe the fertilizers may be of phosphorus, potassium or sulfate. Again, if you are going to use it in an excessive manner, obviously it is going to affect the groundwater. Groundwater is always the fresh water, and if we are using fertilizers to get more yields, in that case again we are polluting. We are directly polluting the fresh water. And in case of excessive fertilizers, if it is mixed with surface waters of rivers or lakes, or you can call it as a pond, or by runoff as well as drainage, it will even pollute the freshwater sources. Just I'm showing the effects of pollution, that's all. As a human being, we are responsible for these things. You can see there is an image showing that this is marine pollution. Finally, the drainage will connect to a particular river. The river will carry all the garbage onto the oceans. And finally, the ocean is nothing but the final sink, where all natural as well as man-made pollutants gather. It's actually a sink. It is a final point where everything will be settled. Just we as a human being, we are dumping sewage, garbage, and finally it reaches the ocean. I hope my voice is audible.
Yes, sir.
This is, we call it as marine pollution. So marine, and also one more thing is that radioactive waste. Now, it is also being dumped in a sealed container. Otherwise, it's not possible. Previously, there are certain scenarios where radioactive wastage are dumped from the ships. Maybe the radioactive wastage is of the submarine. They are dumped into the oceans. Just imagine what about these aquatic marine organisms when they encounter this kind of pollutant. What will happen to them? Next comes the thermal pollution. Thermal pollution is also part of the water pollution because of water is used as a coolant in thermal reactors. Okay, it is also a kind of pollution. Immediately that particular water has been released into the water sources means it will kill the aquatic animals. Okay, normally water is in a thermal station, water is always used as a coolant. Next, coming back to another type of pollution is air pollution. These are because of the air pollution defines as introduction of chemicals, matter or biological matter that cause harm or discomfort to humans as well as other living organisms. On one side, we are polluting water sources. Simultaneously, on another side, we are polluting the air. And there are the reasons are maybe we say industrialization. That may be the reason. But that's true. The gases are being released into the atmosphere. And these gases may contain carbon dioxide. Normally, the generation of carbon dioxide will happen from fossil fuel burning. We'll burn diesel or petrol. It will generate the carbon dioxide. And also it is the resultant of deforestation. Again, from the burning of fossil fuels, maybe diesel, petrol, kerosene. Okay, sulfur dioxide is generated, and sulfur oxide is very dangerous to humans at high concentration. And sulfur is basically responsible for the acid rain in the atmosphere. These gases will reach to a higher level in the atmosphere, just below the ozone layer. Ozone layer is a protective layer, and just below the ozone layer these gases will settle, and when the rain comes, these gases mix up and it will pour as an acid rain. That means that whatever the water, if you try to collect that water and if you test it, it is just nothing but an acid. It contains maybe sulfur, or it may contains carbon dioxide. See, just think about these scenarios. As a part of civilization, we are building so many, we are making changes in various sectors, and these sectors may be industries. They will release the poisonous gases. Where it will go? It will just go, it will rise high in the atmosphere and it will just settle below the ozone layer. And when it rains, it combines, these gases will react with the rain and it's a acid rain. And the consequences of air pollution is very high. Okay, the more the percentage of CO2 in the atmosphere is more, means global warming is more. Can anyone tell what do you mean by global warming? Can anyone tell what do you mean by global warming? Those who are online? Okay, let me tell you what is global warming. No issues. See, normally, I'll show one image. Okay, before that, let me give some description about the consequences of air pollution. CO2 is basically a good transmitter of sunlight. Okay, but it partially restricts infrared radiation. Okay, if you have a layer of CO, carbon dioxide, it allows sunlight, but it will restrict, it will partially block infrared radiation. Okay, so what happens is sun's rays contains IR radiations, infrared radiations. Assume that if it enters the Earth's atmosphere, it will generate the heat within the atmosphere. Okay, at night, this heat needs to be dissipated back to the atmosphere. Okay, Earth's morning, sun's rays will hit the Earth. The temperature rises in the atmosphere, Earth's atmosphere. In the night, it should cool down. The atmospheric temperature should cool down. But normally it is not happening. Because of that is known as global warming. In night also, the heat, because of the day, because of the sun's rays during the day, it is not dissipating at the night. That heat is not escaping from the atmosphere. Why? Why? Because of the CO2. Because of the CO2. Okay, that leads to global warming. I'll show one image. I have a image. You'll understand. Let's see more related to the soil pollution. You can see all the garbage has been thrown everywhere. It has everything, clothes, plastic, metals, most of which are non-recyclable nor decomposable. Okay, these things are not, most of the time it is non-recyclable. They can't be recycled. Second thing, they are nor decomposable. It will not decompose in the atmosphere. It may lead to land pollution, maybe due to human activities, or I can say it as it's maybe due to the misuse of land resources. And it occurs when the waste is not disposed properly. And it is also because of urbanization and industrialization. And there are certain causes of land pollution, maybe construction industries. Sometimes it is due to agriculture, excessive use of fertilizers, phosphates, potassium, sulfates, maybe due to domestic waste as well as industrial waste. You can see the image, in the image, the construction debris. Okay, these are the construction debris. Is it possible to recycle these things? Most probably, it can't be recycled. It can't be recycled. Let's go back to the agriculture. Maybe due to agriculture, in the sense in agriculture, if we use organic fertilizers, most probably it will not contaminate anything. But if we use fertilizers, chemical fertilizers, obviously it is going to contaminate. Initially, in the initial years of cropping, you may get a good yield, but over the years, definitely your yield will be reduced because of the pollution, because of the reaction of the soil with the fertilizer. And coming back to the domestic waste, you can see in the image, tons of domestic wastes are dumped. In every city, there is a dump yard. Correct, right? The domestic waste is dumped. Every year, it is going to pile up. Every day, not every year, leave every year. Every day, it is going to pile up. So many tons of domestic waste. These wastes are from homes, offices, industries. Sometimes it can be recycled. Most of the time, it can't be recycled. This is just a garbage, and we are dumping in an area. These garbages, most of the time, it can't be recycled. You can see in the image. They'll dump in one area and they'll give the fire. It will burn. It will lead to pollution, land pollution or soil pollution, whatever you call, as well as it will lead to air pollution. And also it is, you can see industrial waste. The image, you can make out that maybe waste from the factories or industrial plants. It may be chemical plant, oil refineries, nuclear waste, very dangerous, toxic, coal-fired power plants, and also it is from the metal production industries. Now the question is whether these things are recyclable. I don't know whether it's recyclable or not. But before polluting, we should think about recycling. Before as a human being, before we throw out the garbage, we need to think whether is it possible to recycle or not. In most of the cases, it's not possible. But that is the truth. And you can see, we'll discuss about the noise pollution. It's an excessive or displeasing to humans or animals. And this noise that disrupts the activity or the balance of human or animal life. And these high decibel sounds maybe the major, according to World Health Organization, is a major threat to human wellness or human well-being. Because excessive use or excessive this noise pollution is very displeasing. We'll see some examples related to, and also we'll see some sources of noise pollution. Maybe noise pollution because of transportation system in urban areas, the construction of a building, then industrial noise sometimes, and also loudspeakers. If there is a marriage function or some function is there, people will put speaker in high volume. It's very displeasing. It's not only to human beings, you check about the animals. It causes so much discomfort in the animals also. And what are the effects of noise pollution? According to United States Environmental Protection Agency, there is a direct link between noise pollution and the health. The noise pollution will damage the physiological health, may lead to high blood pressure, it may lead to stress related illness, it may lead to hearing loss. It may even lead to sleep disruption, memory loss, depression, and panic attacks. So these are just the side effects of noise pollution. And who are responsible for noise pollution? As a human being, we are only responsible. Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So what could be the solution for noise pollution or generally for pollution? As a human being, my suggestion is, if possible, plant trees in and around. That's the best way you can avoid, at least not to avoid, at least to minimize the pollution. And we need to have some kind of social awareness programs to educate the public regarding all type of pollution, not only noise pollution. There should be some kind of awareness program. Government of India is running Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. At least once a week we need to, in our locality, we need to do the Swachh Bharat. Otherwise, you cannot imagine what is going to happen after 50 years down the line. It's very, very difficult, I will tell you, all these types of pollution. And just, they are just few ways of stopping pollution. Okay? So, suppose say we have to take the responsibility of the nature of the environment we are living in. Let's say for every week, once in a week, we'll do some kind of Swachh Bharat in our area. We'll plant trees. In a month, you plant one tree, one small sapling in your area. Once in a month. Once in a week, we'll do Swachh Bharat. That's the best way. Otherwise, I will tell you, after 50 years or 60 years, it's very, very difficult. We have to think about it. These problems are growing at an exponential rate. And the solution to these problems, sometimes we have the solution, most of the times we don't have the solution. It is better to avoid such scenarios. We'll use always the materials which are recyclable. We'll try to avoid the use of, at least we try to minimize the use of plastic. A piece of plastic it may take even 1,000 years to decompose. One piece of plastic takes 1,000 years to decompose. Can you imagine you are eating a chocolate and you are throwing just the wrapper? And that wrapper takes 1,000 years means what? What we are doing? What is our responsibility then as a human being? Just I'll show something related to global warming and the greenhouse effect. So you can see the greenhouse effect on the right hand side. You have the ozone layer, and during day sun's rays enters the atmosphere and it gets reflected everywhere. And at night it's a cooling effect. It has to produce the cooling effect, in the sense the heat generated from the earth's surface should escape from the atmosphere to the outer space. It is not happening because of a thick layer of carbon dioxide just below the ozone layer. The carbon dioxide doesn't allow the heat to dissipate or to escape from the Earth's atmosphere into the outer space. Okay? So global warming is nothing but the rise in temperature of the surface of the Earth. Over the millennia, it has been increasing over the millennia. We need to be very, very careful. Global warming. And also the greenhouse effect. It's a process by which thermal radiation from the Earth's surface is absorbed by the atmospheric greenhouse gases and is re-radiated in all directions, but it is not happening. See, there is some proof of global warming. I took some image. See, in the 1914, on the left hand side, you have the Alaska glacier, and you can see on the 2004 how it looks like. Another river, 2002 and in 2003. So to conclude, as a human being, we are responsible for all these things, whatever has happened so far. But if we don't take the initiative right now, it may be very difficult for the future generation. We have to do something. We have to take responsibility. We have to try to minimize whenever possible. We need to tweak our lifestyle. we need to minimize the friction between the nature and the human being. This pollution is just a friction between the human life and the nature or the environment. We need to minimize at any cost. Otherwise, maybe after 150 years or 100 years, Earth won't be a place to live for the human beings. Okay, this is what I wanted to convey you today. As a student of the Yiascm University, we will take some initiative to minimize, because it's highly impossible, because but at least we can take some initiative. We'll, as a part of the Yiascm University, we'll take the initiative. We'll work together to minimize or to minimize the friction between nature and the human life, as well as all the human organisms, not only human life. Nature has so many species. Otherwise, this species will vanish, and we are solely responsible. So with this, I'll end up. Thank you. If you have any questions, you can ask. Any questions you have?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, then I'll wind up. Thank you. We'll
Thank
take
you,
the
sir.
initiative. We'll work together. All the best. Jai Hind. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.